All right.
So tonight we're going to talk about a little bit of the overview of the licensed officials program with WeCan. I guess before we really get into it, would you guys like to give me a little bit of a lowdown on what brought you here tonight?
You go first, Joni.
For me, I guess it's just some interest in the sports, developing sport. I've had a horse in training with me the last couple of years where the owner that's her focus. Suzanne Zimmerman, you probably know her.
Yep.
And so I was sort of forced into it a little bit, but I think it's quite interesting. I think it offers a lot of opportunities for people that can have pretty basic horses and can get involved in something that's pretty active and basically multidiscipline, which is something I really like. And thinking about the judging thing, I don't think that would be something I would do immediately, but I think I want to know more information about it so I can figure out what the stepping stones are. There is basically where I'm at.
Right on. And what about you, Linda?
Well, yeah, we have a mutual friend, Suzanne Zimmerman, and I'm also good friends with Darcy as well, and out here in BC. So unfortunately, I just do not have a whole lot of time spent with working equitation, but a couple of clinics is really all I've done. But I've been a licensed eventing. I'm an FEI licensed eventing judge, as well as an EC dressage and jumper judge. And so the dressage portion of this, I've helped quite a lot of the working equitation riders with it, and it's really a fun thing. I just really like the whole aspect of working equitation. Seems like a lot of the riders, obviously get a real kick out of it because it's different, and it does give the horses such a purpose instead of just going around in a sandbox doing mindless exercises seemingly. So I really like that aspect of it, but I really just want to find out more about what the program certainly entails for sure tonight, if possible. And I'm kind of excited to get on with this. Darcy and Suzanne have both been on my case for about 2 years now. And just with all the other stuff, it's been a bit tough to find the time. But anyway, I'm committed now. I found the time. So I'm going to do this.
Awesome.
I need to learn lots.
Yeah, and great experience background. That's great. Pam has also joined us. Pam, if you want to give a little bit of a quick brief background of who you are, you're actually one of our licensed officials.
Almost pretty close. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Yeah, so my name is Pam Bust. I'm the newest WeCan judge, pending completion of the seminar that's coming up in a couple months. Yeah, I'm also the secretary on the WeCan. And I guess I've been doing working equitation since probably about 2019. I have a Steady Eddie draft quarter horse cross that I was using. Now he's had an accident, so he's retired. So my dressage mare has had to step up, and actually she's done really well. So I thought she might be too spooky and too hot for the sport, but she actually really likes it. So it's been really good for both of us to get her doing some of the obstacles and getting her over, building her confidence, I guess. So yeah, I just love it. It's just such a great sport. The competitions are just a ton of fun. The competitors always seem to have a really good time, and yeah, I think it's just a great sport for people and for the horses too. So
awesome, thank you. So a quick little bit about me, just so you guys know who I am. I am Saskatchewan Director for Working Equitation Canada, as well as the Licensed Officials Committee Chair, which is why I'm presenting this webinar tonight, because I'm probably the one with the most information on the LOC program at the moment. I also have been very actively involved in working equitation since 2013, getting it going around me, and I was one of the original members that kind of started the drive to begin Working Equitation Canada. So this has been kind of my baby, and this program has been a really important one to me as well. So now that I am no longer serving as president, I get to focus my time here and really start to develop our licensed officials and make this program better and better as we go. So I'm looking forward to it. We just released the newest updated version of the program just this March. So we're excited for that, and we're going to review that with you guys here today. And I'm excited for the program with the new updates because it has made the process a little bit easier to achieve some of the learner status, as well as to just really get people into the program. We really strive to have a very big community feel in the program. So I'm excited for that. So with that, we're going to do some screen sharing. I have a double screen on my computer, so unfortunately I can't see if it's actually working on the screen share. So when I change the page, can you guys just let me know if it works? So right now it should be on what is the licensed officials program. Is that what you guys see? Perfect.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay, I always like to double check because you never know. And like I said, I can't see it. So the licensed officials program is designed to produce, maintain, and continually train well-rounded, highly trained, consistent officials to officiate at weekend license shows. One of our goals is to make sure that we are giving training that is going to allow all of our officials, regardless of background, to really have a very strong base education so that our judging is consistent regardless of who's judging or what show or where. So that's really important to us, and it's something that we really strive towards. We do have, because working equitation is a multidiscipline sport, we have people interested in becoming judges from all disciplines and all over Canada. So it's pretty interesting to hear all the backgrounds coming into the program and getting to work with that. And it's also really great for the community feel because we have a lot of live discussions in the training process, and all those different backgrounds and experiences really come together to really develop a great live discussion opportunity and learning. We're here to prepare both judges and technical delegates for their respective duties at licensed shows. And the community-oriented approach that offers a broad education support system through cohesive virtual classroom training, as well as in-person training. Providing continuing education to our licensed officials is also one of our important points that we are seeking, so that those that are currently licensed are continuing to be educated and develop their own knowledge throughout. So I'm pretty sure I don't need to really go into details on this, but what is a judge? A judge is expected to evaluate a rider and horse pair analytically without being critical, and to judge each horse rider pair individually against a defined standard that results in a consistent and final ranking of competitors. Judges in the sport of working equitation are licensed through the national body called Working Equitation Canada, or WECAN, and more so specifically by the Licensed Officials Committee, which is what I am the chair of this year. There are currently 4 levels of officials in Canada. There is a learner judge, a basic judge, a medium judge, and a senior judge. What is a technical delegate? The technical delegate is an official that plays an important role in shows and trials in the sport of working equitation. A TD with comprehensive knowledge of the weekend rules will be present at all trials to ensure that the rules are followed. The TD works in collaboration with the judge or president of the jury, and the TD must be impartial in the performance of this function. They ensure that a full set of rules are available at the competition and will be present during all veterinary inspections. So our TD is really the overseer to ensure that all rules are being followed and that everyone is being looked after as well. The judge and/or the TD must approve the release of results and score sheets prior to being posted and released. The order of go and show schedule should include time slotted for approvals by officials. The TD's duties are conducted outside the competition arena while riders are being judged. Championship shows, as well as shows having an international judge, must have a WECAN licensed TD that is separate from the judge. More than one TD may be required to ensure that no individual officiates while there's any conflict of interest with a horse and rider pair, and a TD may not compete at a licensed show when he or she is officiating. Because weekend competition rules provide for the judge to be able to act as a TD, all of our judge candidates in the program currently must complete the technical delegate portion and requirements of the program, as well as the judging components, which we will go into in greater detail pretty soon here. So program process, here's a quick overview of what you can kind of expect throughout this program. So the very first thing required is that you must submit a general application and requirements to be accepted into the program. There's a number of general requirements needed in order to be accepted into the program, which I'll go through in just a minute. And then once you're in the program, there's also a number of requirements based on what program you're doing, as well as what levels you're hoping to achieve. Actively participating in the virtual classroom and live discussions. As I said, we try and generate a really community-based educational opportunity for all of our candidates, and being that we are nationwide, we have found that a virtual classroom is our best resource for being able to reach out to everybody and really get into great detail on all of the different areas and aspects of judging working equitation, whether it be dressage, ease of handling. We have modules on talking about biomechanics and understanding how to assess problems within the horse and rider. We have scoring modules. We have modules on a number of different topics to really get into all the information and prepare our judges as well as possible. And within that classroom, which is going to run once a year, and it will be starting here up in April right away. Within that classroom, every module has a presentation as well as notes that you can keep, and usually an assignment or a quiz. And then we have live discussions afterwards to really get together and discuss. And the live discussions are really important to attend because that's where a lot of the learning really takes place. And that's where that community feel starts to come out of. And then we end up with a group that really supports each other. And it's just a fantastic place of learning, which I'm sure Pam can attest to as she's gone through it. The live discussions are amazing. There's also need to gain in-person experience requirements. So these are going to be shadow judging for judges or scribing and mentoring opportunities for technical delegates. And we will go into more information on these in just a bit. And then last but not least, they will need to complete the necessary licensed officials seminar, online evaluations, and the interviews in order to become licensed. So going into the general application requirements, these are the requirements that are needed in order to be accepted into the program. So we will not accept you into the program until all of these have been submitted to us. So first up, you must be 21 years of age as of January 1st of the current year. You must be a member of WeCan in good standing. And you must complete and submit the online application form, which can be found on our website under Rules and Competition, and then Licensed Officials Program. You must submit a $100 non-refundable application fee to become a judge, or a $50 non-refundable application fee to become a TD. You need to have a Google-friendly email account set up prior to us really getting you into the program. The reason for this is because we use Google Classroom for our virtual training, as well as we use Google Drive quite a bit to share information back and forth between our candidates and the Licensed Officials Committee. This is a way that we can all access the information freely and can kind of keep ourselves as well as all of our candidates up to date on everything that's happening. And you guys can track your own progress along the way easily that way as well. You must submit an equine related resume stating why you feel that you are suitable to become a judge or a TD and what experience would make you suitable. You must submit 3 letters of reference from WeCan members stating why they feel you would be suitable to be a licensed official. And last but not least, you must submit proof of completion of the NCCP courses, Making Ethical Decisions Evaluation. So this is a course that does cost money. It is available online and can be accessed really monthly, because the nice thing about it being online is you can do it within different provinces. So you could take a course that's being offered in PEI and still be able to access it because it's online. So you can really play around with dates that work for you. The one thing I will make note of though is different courses have different costs associated with them depending on who's hosting. So just make sure you're really looking into what the cost of the course is, as well as the availability, and kind of comparing course to course to find out what's going to work best for you. There's also 2 free required courses, which is Making Headway in Sport or Safe Sport, which are both through NCCP. The Equestrian Canada version of these, which is Respect in Sport, as well as Concussion Awareness, are also suitable. Once you have been accepted into the program, the general requirements mean that you must actively participate in the virtual classroom. And as I said, this classroom only runs once a year. So it will be starting up in April of this year, and it will run through to the end of the year. Then as of February 1st of the following year, we will start up the classroom again. This is because it takes a lot of our time to do all the live discussions. And it also ensures that all of the modules are always up to date with the current sets of rules. And it really creates that community feel where you are with a group of people from start to finish. And nobody's joining kind of in between halfway and being lost. So that's why we have switched to running this just once a year. And I think it's going to work really well this year. There's tons of great modules in there. You must attend one weekend approved officials training seminar within 2 calendar years of applying to the program, or as soon as one is made available by weekend. And you must pass the weekend open book licensing test within the 2 preceding years of applying, or immediately after application submission with a minimum score of 90%. Expenses that a candidate can expect on top of the $100 or $50 application fee are going to be your registration fee, travel, accommodation, and meals expenses in order to attend the weekend training seminar. We have a current training seminar coming up in May in Olds, Alberta this year. The seminar itself is $450 to attend. We do have options for out-of-province candidates who need help with accommodation. We are willing to help out with that a little bit. So if registration is something you guys are interested in doing right away and getting into that seminar, let me know and I can definitely give you all the information and work with you. The information can also be found on our website as well as on our social media pages, Working Equitation Canada. Travel, accommodation, and meals expenses to get to the required in-person training and experience. So this is where you're going to actually have to travel either within province or possibly out of province in order to get your shadow judging requirements, your volunteering or scribing requirements, as well as mentorship opportunities. So just be prepared that this program, while the virtual training is an amazing opportunity, you really can't replace the in-person training component. And so we are really making sure that you guys have that opportunity to do in person. And so we do our best to give you access as early as possible to any shows, licensed shows that are coming up that could count towards that. And we try and set our candidates up with the show managers as soon as possible to see if they can attend that show as a shadow judge or a scribe or whatever they need. But do be prepared that you are going to have to spend some time and money traveling around to get that in-person experience. Talking about judges. So important terms to understand before we move on. A ride constitutes all trials entered at the level completed by the horse rider pair, including DQs. Scratches and no-shows do not qualify. So what that means is when we say you have to judge or shadow judge 50 rides, it means that if you have an L2 level rider, you need to judge that rider in ease of handling, or sorry, dressage, ease of handling, and speed. And if cattle is an option, then in cattle as well. So those 3 trials have to be met in order for it to count as a ride. If you only shadow judge the dressage component and not the other 2, it will not count as a ride. So we need complete start to finish trials for each rider horse pair. Mentoring. This is where the candidate stands by the judge, observing the scores and comments given. We highly recommend mentoring for the learner judge. It is one of the experience options to become a learner judge. However, we do also require shadow judging for the basic level and up, because shadow judging allows us to actually have score sheets that we can compare, whereas unfortunately mentoring, while it's an absolutely fabulous learning opportunity, there is no qualitative ability for the licensed officials committee to compare that with the officials on duty to see how you're performing. So we highly, highly recommend the opportunity to go and just mentor with a judge and learn from them and listen to them. But we do also require shadow judging, and it's important to understand the difference between those, because you are going to have a certain amount of shadow judging hours to get your basic license and up. So shadow judging is when the candidate scores the rides on their own score sheet and submits to the licensed officials committee with the official score sheets for comparison. This is to gain actual experience judging. So basically you are acting as a volunteer judge at the show. You will score on your own score sheets. You will submit those to the LOC as well as the actual officiating judge's score sheets so that we can do a comparison and make sure that you're on track with where you should be. And
Hey, Kim.
also it gives you the opportunity to ask and answer any questions and really learn. What were you gonna say, Pam?
I was just gonna say, you said hours of shadow judging. Is it hours of judging or is it number of rides?
Rides. Did I say hours? Sorry.
That's okay. Just thought I'd ask.
Yes, it is number of rides. Judging and co-judging. So in the different levels, there is a judging and co-judging requirement. So in this, the candidate is represented as the paid judge, the actual official doing the event, or one of the officials co-judging the event. So we'll go into what requirements and where these will pop into place, but basically judging or co-judging is when you're actually hired as the judge, whereas shadow judging is a volunteer basis. Scribing. Scribing is being the official scorekeeper and writing comments on the judge for the judge on the score sheets. So scribing is required as part of your volunteer experience to become a TD. It is definitely a great opportunity for learning as well if anybody wants to become a judge, because again, you're mentoring. Basically, you're sitting there listening to what the judge is saying and all the comments, and it's a great opportunity to learn more and get a better feel prior to starting your shadow judging. So talking about a learner judge, this is one of the areas within the program that really changed this year as we tried to make the learner judge a little bit more achievable and really giving access to our candidates to be able to get out there and start judging schooling shows, as well as to be able to advertise that they are available for schooling shows. Whereas in the past, the learner judge was definitely a little bit harder to achieve, and we didn't really have a list out there anywhere to give people. So we've tried to make it much more friendly so that our candidates have the opportunity to get out there and really start getting some experience. So first thing you need is you must pass a basic weekend rules test with a minimum 90% passing grade. You must mentor and learn from a minimum, for a minimum of 8 hours with an S-level judge or WOWA judge at a weekend approved seminar, or scribe, shadow judge, or mentor 20 rides with a B-level judge or higher, or a WOWA judge at a weekend license competition. So basically, just to review that, everybody must pass the rules test. And then you have the option of mentoring at a seminar with a senior or WOWA judge that weekend approves, or else you can scribe, shadow judge, or mentor 20 rides with a B-level judge or higher at a weekend license competition. Once you've completed that, yeah.
Sorry, Kim. What about doing it at an American show? Does it have to be weekend?
Not necessarily, but it does have to be pre-approved by weekend. So if you're considering traveling down to the States to do some mentorship or some shadow judging or scribing, you need to contact the weekend LOC first and have a discussion with them so that we can kind of look into who is officiating. We do strongly encourage it be a weekend license competition, simply for the fact that it's using weekend rules, which are slightly different than the American rules. But it is definitely something that can be discussed with the licensed officials committee, and we will certainly make exceptions, as we are aware that the number of weekend license competitions is still pretty low in Canada. So we get it. It's hard to find competitions that will fit you in.
Okay, thank you.
Submitting, once you have completed these things, you need to submit the signed experience form for mentoring and or scribing or score sheets for both the shadow judge and the official judge to the licensed officials committee. Once we have received those, we will give you an oral interview process just to answer questions and to kind of test to see if you feel like you're ready, and how the licensed officials committee feels about it. And once that is complete, you are now prepared to officiate at schooling shows and may serve on a panel with a medium or senior judge. To clarify, in Canada, weekend does not regulate schooling shows. Realistically, anybody can judge them. However, what we really want to do with our learner judge status is encourage people to take this approach so that they are getting a lot of background training, because as a learner judge candidate, you have access to all the virtual training opportunities within our licensed officials program. And we're giving you a little bit more experience and background to prepare you for those. And then we're able to advertise you on our website as being a learner judge so that people who are looking to host schooling shows can find your name and reach out to you. Any questions on that so far?
This information is all on your website though, is it, Kim?
Yes, correct. Under the licensed
is,
officials
okay.
program on the website, there is a full overview
Okay,
that goes through all of
Yeah.
this information.
perfect. Thank you.
Everything here is pulled out of that overview.
Perfect.
And if at any time you guys do have questions, feel free to just pipe up and ask. Moving on to the basic judge. So for general experience, you must have held their L or learner status for at least the current calendar year. So what that means is if you became a learner judge in May, at the end of the licensed officials training seminar, then you would be able, potentially, if you could get all of your other requirements for a B judge in, we could look at giving you that status January of next year to upgrade to a B. We really strongly mentoring with a more senior judge. However, it is not a requirement, but it is very strongly encouraged because again, it's a fantastic learning opportunity if you get to sit with a judge and really have some conversations with them before, during, or after the show. Shadow judging requirements. So you need to have 50 rides in all trials available with a minimum of 2 shows. And for this year, we are allowing it to be with a basic, medium, senior, or Huawei judge. Of those 50 rides, 10 of the rides have to be at level 2, 10 of the rides have to be at level 3, 5 of the rides have to be at level 4, and 5 of the rides at level 5. For judging and co-judging, we want you to have 50 rides in all available trials at a minimum of 2 schooling shows, or at a licensed show as a co-judge with a medium, senior, or Huawei judge within 2 preceding years. So we really want to see that our learner judges are out there starting to judge schooling shows and getting some experience, or else they're able to co-judge on a panel with a medium, senior, or Huawei judge at a licensed competition.
So Kim,
Yes.
me again. What happens if there's not enough, like, for example, level 3 riders? There wasn't enough to get 10 full rides. What would you do then?
Unfortunately, you have to keep going until you can get them because it's really important that you have judged that many levels before we can really give you that status. We can certainly work with you. We do allow some American, basically 75% of your shadow judging needs to be Canadian under Canadian rules. But going down to the States is definitely an option if you do need to find some more. We will also work directly with you if you reach out to the LOC and you say, hey, you know what, I'm short, I'm going to be short this many rides, then we will do our absolute best to try and make something work out for you guys and get that opportunity sorted out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So going on to a medium judge. You must have held your B license for at least a year. And again, we're encouraging mentorship with a more senior judge, but it is not required. For shadow judging, again, you must have 50 rides and all trials available at a minimum of 2 shows with a medium, senior, or WOWY judge. Of those 50 rides, 5 of them must be at level 3, 5 at level 4, 5 at level 5, 5 at level 6, and 5 at level 7. So these are going to take a little bit longer to get because in Canada right now, level 6 and level 7, we don't have a ton of riders, but they are possible. And we're really hoping within the next couple of years here that we're going to have quite a few people advancing up through those levels, as we have quite a few sitting at level 4 and 5 right now that are almost ready to move up. So I'm hoping this year's competition season we'll start to see some of those bump up, which will be fantastic. And then you need judging and co-judging. So in this case, you need to have judged 150 rides in all available trials at a minimum of 2 licensed shows within 3 preceding years. And you can include co-judging with a senior or WOWY judge in this. So if you are working on a panel, those can count towards these rides. Of the 150 rides, they must include 15 rides at level 4 and 15 rides at level 5. When you want to become a medium judge, we also require 2 letters of reference from 2 different senior or WOWY judges within the preceding 2 years, just kind of stating that they feel you are ready to move on to this level and that you do have the professionalism as well as the experience. I have a person behind me. Who's this? I don't know. Where you go? Last but not least, you must submit score sheets, pass an oral interview process, and pass an online learning licensing exam if required at that time. For a senior judge, general experience, they must have held their medium level license for at least 2 years. They must judge 25 rides in all trials and with a senior or WOWY judge, shadow judging, sorry, and 10 of those must be level 6 and 5 of them must be level 7. So now we're starting to really train our judge to become an advanced and master level judge. Judging and co-judging, again, 150 rides at all available trials with a minimum 2 shows within 3 years. And of those 150 rides, 10 of them must be at level 6. And you also must co-judge with a senior or WOWY judge at one recognized show serving on a panel. So this most likely in Canada would be a championship show, such as a regional championship or a national competition, which is where you really see a lot of panel judging happening. All championships must have a panel. References. 3 letters of reference from 3 different senior or WOWY judges within the preceding 2 years are required to move up to a senior status. Again, same reason as the medium judge. And same as before, you must submit your score sheets from your shadow judging as well as from your judging. Pass an oral interview process and pass an online licensing exam if it's required at that time. We're not going to go into great detail about international judges, but we do have international judge opportunities for our competitions, either as a guest carded judge, as well as an international weekend licensed judge. So a guest card judge is a judge that is not weekend affiliated, but has proven that they know the rules by writing a rules test and can come into Canada and judge. An international weekend licensed judge is a person from outside of Canada who is licensed with another international working equitation body who can apply to become a weekend licensed judge. These are on an individual basis depending on where they're coming from. There's more details about these in the program overview on our website. I'm not going to go into them today unless somebody has a specific question on them. Talking about technical delegates. So for general experience technical delegates, they need to shadow a licensed TD or a licensed judge with TD accreditation at a weekend licensed show. So what this means, especially if they're shadowing the judge, they only need to shadow the portions of the judge's duties that are strictly TD. So setting up the course, checking score sheets, doing scoring, that kind of thing. is the duties that need to be required. Ideally, they should also be either scribing during the competition with the judge, or also they could be working as a gate steward in between if they wished, just to help out at the shows and also gain some more experience. They also require volunteer experience at one weekend licensed show, which may entail any of the following. They could scribe or sit in, they could serve as a gate steward, or they could act as a scorer. This is all giving them the experience they need to perform their duties when they become a technical delegate. They must submit their experience forms and complete an interview with the licensed officials committee prior to being licensed. And last but not least, they must complete an online TD licensing exam, which is going to include your rules as well as scoring questions, etc., to encompass the knowledge that the TD requires. This again would be an open book exam requiring a minimum of 90% passing grade. In your overview, you will find a table that kind of gives a basic breakdown of everything that is required for the different levels, just to make it a more visually friendly opportunity to see what is required to become a learner versus a basic versus a TD. So that is available in the overview, and it's a really quick reference to be able to see what you need to get and what to expect for each level. Is there any questions on any of that stuff before we continue to move on?
If I could ask what the date is for the May seminar, would be really appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. It is May 30th to June 2nd. Sorry, May 31st to June 2nd. And then there's 2 days of licensed shows afterwards on the 3rd and 4th, which will allow our TD candidates opportunity to shadow as a TD, as well as allow our judge candidates to shadow judge with Antonio Vicente, who is a WowA judge. So Antonio Vicente is going to be doing the overview. Good night, Josie. And we will have a full list of the classroom schedule coming out here right away for everybody in attendance. But yeah, definitely those are the dates. And if you have specific information, if you want to shoot your email in the chat, I can also send you the direct information as well as soon as this webinar is over, to make sure you get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So continuing education, part of our program is ensuring that the licensed officials that we do have are continuing their education and continuing to learn and evolve with the sport and their experience. So general requirements every 2 years, whether you're a judge or a TD, includes maintaining a status as a weekend member in good standing annually. This membership needs to be renewed by January 1st every year in order to maintain good standing. You must submit a fully completed continuing education form by December 31st within the 2-year license period. So you will be licensed for 2 years from the date of licensing. You have those 2 years to complete all of your continuing education requirements and submit that form to the WeCan LOC. You must successfully complete an open book rules test with a minimum score of 90% every 2 years to show that you are staying up to date on your rules and any changes that have been made to them. Continuing education specific to judges includes officiating at a minimum of 2 licensed competitions for basic to senior judges. Every 2 years, they must attend or instruct at a minimum of 1 weekend officials training seminar. They have a choice of at least one of the following. You can scribe for a judge holding the same license or higher for a minimum of 80 rides. You can shadow judge with judges holding the same or higher for a minimum of 80 rides. Or you can participate in a week clinic or training seminar approved by the licensed officials committee. There's a typo there. Technical delegate, continuing education. They must officiate at a minimum of 2 weekend licensed shows and attendance and or instruction at a minimum of 1 weekend education seminar or event. that's all I have for you guys today. So is there any specific questions? That was kind of just a brief overview of what you can expect in the program, how it's laid out. And I'm happy to answer absolutely anything about any part of that that you would like to discuss.
Kim, is there a list of sort of I guess Western Canada shows that some of this the hours and the rides and so on could be met or at least started?
Yes. So we don't, the challenge with having licensed shows is a lot of times the actual licensing application doesn't come in until like 30 days prior to the show, which makes it really hard to get those notices out there and advertised early enough. So what the licensed officials committee does is we kind of really keep our ears open and work with each regional directors to find out if there's rumor between the chapters or individuals that are looking to plan a licensed show. And if there is, then we make sure that our candidates are aware of that opportunity coming up as soon as we can find out about it, and give them the contact information for whoever the show manager or host is going to be, so that they have the opportunity early on to reach out to them and say, hey, if you are having a licensed show, I'm interested in being a shadow judge, or I'm interested in scribing or whatever, right? So we do try to get that out there, and there's always a list in the virtual classroom of events that we know are coming up, whether they've been licensed yet or not. It's very rare that licensing, I can't say we've ever denied a license. We've maybe sent them back to revise a thing or two to meet the requirements, but we've never denied a license. So it's pretty safe to say that when somebody's planning a licensed show, if we know about it, most likely it's going to go ahead with our guidance. So we do allow our candidates to know that as soon as possible.
Okay, good. So there's no actual sort of list on your website at this point?
At this point, no, because it's so early in the year that not many people have actually reached out to the events committee within WeCan to let us know that they are licensing shows. But like I said, I work with all the directors and really keep my ears open for any events that I know are coming up, even though they haven't begun the licensing process. And I put those in the classroom as a list so that all of our candidates are aware of them and who to contact.
I see.
There is
Okay,
an event-
perfect.
There is an events list on the website though, right, Kim? So I think
There
that'll be
is,
posted
yeah.
there as soon as you find out.
Yeah, again, the only problem with the events list on the website is usually people don't end up putting the event on the website until they've received licensing. So I try and be proactive and kind of dig them out prior to them even applying for licensing and find out as soon as possible. Okay. So right now we have Thompson Okanagan chapter and one other for sure in BC on the island that are going ahead with a licensed show this year. I know that for sure. They haven't applied yet, but actually the one has. So there's 2 BC events for sure happening. I'm sure there's going to be some more coming up, but yeah, there is some opportunities there for sure.
And I think there's 3 in Alberta this year, right?
Yep,
Kim?
3 in Alberta, 1 for sure in Saskatchewan, possibly 2. So there's, well, actually, there's 3 with Prairie West in Alberta, but then there's also the 2 mini shows at the seminar on June 3rd and 4th as well. That'll count for shadowing hours.
And the seminar and the show in May, is that it's in Old, but what venue is it? The exhibition grounds, or
it's at the college?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, if you want to shoot me your email in the chat, I can get that sent out to you directly. If not, the information is available both on our social media pages as well as on our website.
I will send that to you for sure right now.
Sounds good. Or if it's easier, you can also email wecanlop@gmail.com, which is on your screen there. Any other questions?
There, I sent it.
Awesome. I see it. Perfect. I will.
I do have a Gmail address too, but that's my main one.
Okay. Perfect. I will get that sent out as soon as we're done. Any other questions?
Just really appreciate your time tonight, Kim. That's just been very informative and gosh, so much to learn, right?
Yeah, always.
thank-
And just
thank
know
you.
that.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you. It's really interesting. It's something I'm interested in, but I want to compete for a little bit.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I don't really want to give up I don't want to give up the competition piece. And I sort of, for my own personal part, if I was going to step in the judging, I want to compete at it a little bit before I really feel,
Yes.
validated to be able to judge it. So
Yeah,
that's just me, the way I want to do it. So yeah, but I think it's something I'd like to do maybe in a couple of years, but I'll hopefully now I'll go and embarrass myself in the show ring for a little while and see what happens.
It's never
I
an
did my first show
embarrassment.
last
It's
year.
always a great
Well,
learning
I mean,
opportunity.
it is. It's very humbling to do this kind of stuff. But the thing I really enjoy about it was similar to what Linda was saying. I like the fact that it's multidiscipline, and interesting for horse and rider. And I think there's a lot of scope in this industry to really bring a lot of people in. And I'd like to compete in it and coach in it and train in it. And then eventually, I think I would like to judge it down the road. So I'll keep my eye on the whole process for sure.
That's fantastic.
But thank you for your time. It's excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. And just know, if ever you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and us at wecanlp@gmail.com. We're here. We're happy to answer any questions. We want to help you guys. So anything you need, just shoot
Perfect.
a message. All right. If there's no other questions,
Perfect.
I will let you guys go for the evening. Thanks so much for attending. And Linda, I will send out that information as soon as we're done here.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you so much for your time. It's good to meet everybody. Good night now.
Good night.